Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Logan Landers, and this is our very special Dallas Weekly Sports Update. Now, joining me today is a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. We all know, man, he's the Florida State great, the 1981 first-round draft pick from the Atlanta Falcons, Mr. Bobby Butler. And Bobby, we got something special for all the fans today, man. I'm ready for it. How about you?
Hey, man, I'm always excited. We're talking about football, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to be, more specifically, we're going to be talking about the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys game that just happened this last night. But before we get started, first off, shout out to everyone out there. Shout out to Dallas Weekly for helping, put these great videos up each and every week. Also, thanks to everyone watching right now live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Also, check out our Instagram as well. And also one more shout out to the Believe Podcast Network for helping us with the audio experience, what we're going to be putting this very video up to later on tonight. But hey, Bobby, let's get right into this one, man. I know that we were watching this game carefully, and it was a nail-biter, I'm not going to lie. So we all know the results of this game. But my first question to you is, what were your takeaways from this game last night?
Well, I tell you, man, for those of us who are fans of the Cowboys, of course, we always want to see them win. We thought, especially the way they've been playing, that I just was confident that we were going to win. Maybe I was overconfident, and I wasn't even playing the game. Well, at the end of the day, this game basically breaks down for me like this. The offense didn't play well, especially in the first half. Let's think about it. Not to give excuses. This is professional football, and we know that, any given day, guys would get injured. If we go back before the season started, we thought that this team would be Super Bowl bound. And they lost their quarterback. And then, the offensive line, was depleted with injuries. And with this offense, this great offense, as good as Dak was in the passing game, we still got to run the ball with Zeke. Yeah. I mean, Zeke has got to be the beast in the room, but Zeke can't do it all by himself. He had no O-line help, and so we got a lot of great toys, but we don't have the guys up front. And so it really showed in this game against the Giants, because Andy was hit quite often in the first half. I mean, he was sacked 6 times in this game and was hit often. And when you get hit like that as a quarterback, it makes you nervous in the pocket. You're not sure, you can't focus down the field long because you think you're going to get hit. And so that showed in the first half. They had like 113 yards total offense in the first half, which was horrible. But to their credit, when they came out of the locker room, it was a different Cowboy offense, seemed to be, right? And so, and they ended up, I think, with about 243 yards of passing at the end of the game. But, threw a bad interception in the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes or so left in the game when they had an opportunity. And, it's been a tough year, man, new coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. But I don't care how bad the Cowboys are down, Logan, I would have never picked the Giants to beat them.
Nah. Especially because, they beat them early in the season too. Let's not forget that.
Exactly. And so I just thought the Cowboys, and maybe because I'm a fan, right? And maybe because I want them to win, I'm looking at things a little bit too far out than what I should be. I was very disappointed. Zeke, he had 42 yards rushing this game. They had like 7 different receivers catch balls, but Schultz ended up being the leading receiver in this game with 7 catches. And when you got guys like CeeDee Lamb, you got guys like Amari Cooper, you got guys like Galt, you just can't have your tight end lead the team in receiving.
Right.
I mean, we got all the pretty toys. I mean, we got guys, we got Ferraris and Porsches, they're fast and they're agile and they can do all these things. But, poor Andy Dalton, he just didn't have time. And then his mind was wrecked, and you can always tell when the defense is getting to a quarterback, the production, how unnerving he is in the pocket and things like that. And so that showed. And here's the other thing about the game that I was a little disappointed in, but it just shows you the season. Zeke, 42 yards rushing, 21 yards short of 1,000 yards in the season.
Yeah.
of course, this goes down as the worst year that he's had in his short career. And it's a short career. And we just hope that they'll be able to come out and bounce back next year.
Yeah, hopefully he can get that hamstring under lock too. I know he's had some lingering issues with that seemingly every single week. Hopefully, we see what Zeke can do in the past. He's one of the most explosive running backs in the league.
No question. I tell you, he's a beast. I mean, the guy's, compact. I think he's maybe about 5'10", something like that, 5'9", 5'10". It's about 235 pounds. People don't know how big Zeke really is. Yeah. And so he's a man child when he's running that football and with athleticism. And so, but he's the workhorse in the offense for them. Even when Dak is healthy, is get a ball to Zeke, play action down the field, and everybody's happy, right? Oh, yeah. So it hadn't been that kind of a year. But let me say this about the Cowboys this week. The defense really improved as the year went on. I was really pleased with how they got better, how they progressively got better, and they did do that. They had I think in the first 12 games, they had something like 11 turnovers in the first 12 games, right? And in the last 4 games, they had 12 turnovers.
Yeah. There you go.
So that's impressive, right?
There you go.
So when you turn the ball over, you're getting after it. You're getting after it. Your people up front are getting after it. They're causing fumbles. They're returning fumbles for touchdowns. They're picking off passes, which mean there's some heat in the kitchen. Yeah. And as a quarterback, I love the heat in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
But if we got heat in the kitchen, we can play with anybody in the secondary. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, and I mean, Bobby, like you were saying there, usually when the defense is doing good, usually you expect the offense to kind of return the favor, but it just didn't shake out that way for the Cowboys last night. They just weren't able to get too much going.
Yeah, it was tough, man. And so, but not to give anybody excuses because you can't. It's football, and we know in football, people are going to get injured. So when the general manager and the scouting department and the head coaches, when they all come together, in the draft in April, they got to make sure they address some of the depth that they have on the team and get those players back because I don't know if Dak is going to be back next season. That may be a 2-year turnaround with that injury.
Yeah, you never really know. But I was with you, Bobby, going into this game. I had all the hope in the world that the Cowboys would win this one. They had a 3-game winning streak. They were looking hot coming into this one. Meanwhile, on the flip side, the Giants were on a 3-game losing streak. So momentum was just all on Dallas's side. It's just they weren't able to complete their task, man. They didn't lose by much. They lost by just a few. But seemingly their whole offense yesterday was just kind of by our guy, Greg the Leg Zuerlein. He was kicking balls left and right, man. I know he hit one for about – I think it was 57 or 58. That is, I wish I had that kind of leg ability, man. That would be great. I always marvel these guys, man. Just, man, how can you kick a ball that far? I know people always like, man, kickers and punters aren't athletes, but I would try, go out there and try to kick a ball that far.
I beg to differ, Logan. I'm with you on that. I beg to differ. It takes a real skill to do that. And then let's think about this. See, these are some of the things that we don't consider when we're at home watching.
Right.
The fact that they were playing outside, it was cold.
Oh, yeah. It's frigid.
We don't know how much precipitation was in the atmosphere, right? So you have to deal with all those things, right? And you're out there kicking a ball. And anyway, it takes a lot.
It really does. But I'm with you on that, too. I do think the defense improved dramatically over, last couple of games. And we've seen that kind of just in the NFL, too. Early on in the season, defenses just across the league were just, not that good. But, with all the COVID restrictions and stuff early on in the year, I do think that the Cowboys specifically were one of the top teams that bounced back at the end of the year to improve their defense and give the fans, a good glimmer of hope going into the next season. Unfortunately, their record wasn't enough to get into the postseason. They need a lot of luck. Right. They need lady luck on their side, but it didn't, in the division in which a lot of people were knocking over the last couple of weeks, and rightfully so with the winning percentages and the records, with the Washington football team able to get in with a losing record. So,
I tell you, it's funny. I mean, when we look at those records, we go like, wow, in one of the historically great divisions of all time.
Right. Let's not forget that.
Everybody in that division has won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Think about that. You can't say that about the NFC South.
Nope.
All right. You can't say that about the NFC West. right? And so I'm just telling you, man, that division right there is one of the best of all time. And to see them play at that level, it was kind of, put it this way, nobody could have figured that out before the season, that it would be this way.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you on that, Bobby. Well, I think that's enough about that game. Let's get into the whole season in general now. So the Cowboys, this is their first losing season since 2015. So it's been quite a while since they've had that taste of defeat in their mouth. But one of my questions to you, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, is do you think that Dak Prescott can recover from his injury? Because, man, it's always scary when you see quarterbacks or really any players go down with a leg injury, and with Prescott getting that compound fracture and a dislocated right ankle, that's got to be pretty scary, especially for, I'd say, kind of a mobile quarterback also, because he can use his legs when he needs to. So my first question to you, man, is do you think that Dak will get a full recovery this next season? Or do you think, like you said, this might be kind of a 2-year process?
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm old school. And so, when I played during my time, they didn't have everything quite so figured out. And even an ACL back in my day was going to take 2 years, right? But Alex Smith pretty much had the same injury.
Yeah, let's not forget.
Took him 2 years, right? And so I don't know. I'm hoping Dak can come back, but I wouldn't want to rush it. And now, you got this, you're in this situation now. I don't know what they know. I don't know what's going on. We won't know what his medical situation is right now. They won't really tell us. But I can say this could be, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the draft. See if they draft a quarterback.
There's a lot of talent out there.
There's a lot of talent out there. And so, but let me say this. I do believe they need to draft one, not necessarily to replace Dak, but to have a decent backup. Unless they can find somebody on the wire somewhere that's a pro, that's a really good backup, that's a proven backup, right? It's going to be interesting. I don't think Andy Dalton will be back. That's just my opinion, right? Just my opinion.
Understandable.
And I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have him back. I just don't think in this business, it's a crazy business. I just don't think he'll be back on the roster next year. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget also, this is still a contract year for Dak also. That was the big thing going into this season, and it's carried over too.
Take the money, right?
Exactly. I mean, they can give him their franchise tag. I think it'd be for around 37, 38 million. Yeah. And it'll count for the whole salary this next coming year. Right. So if you're Jerry Jones, if you're that Cowboys front office, do you risk giving this guy a big extension when he's coming off of a potentially career harming injury with his leg, or do you just give him that 1-year deal and have it eat up a good amount of your salary cap for one season? What would you do in that situation?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna look at my medical doctors and look. Tell me straight up, what are we looking at? What are we looking at here, right? Yep. He's a young man, so he's not like at the end of his career with an injury like that, which could be career ending. From my perspective and my view of the game of football, I would sign Zeke. I would not Zeke. I mean, I would sign Dak. And get him under contract because, like I say, quarterbacks. You look at the great quarterbacks today; they're playing 20+ years, man.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
Brady, Breeze. I mean, a lot of people. Aaron Rodgers has been playing a long time, but he sat the bench like 5 years before Brett Favre gave over the steering wheel to him. So he can play a long time. So I would lock him in. It's so hard, Logan, to find a quarterback. It's so hard. Even through the draft, you look at some guys. I mean, the Jets had a great draft a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You got a guy named Sam Donald from USC. Might be gone today. Washington signed the quarterback 2 years ago. He's gone today. Yep. And so it just doesn't mean because you come out of – let me say this, and this is true. And don't take my word for it. Just go back and look in history. Just because you're a great college player don't mean you're going to be an NFL player. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you. There are a lot of Heisman Trophy winners never made the NFL. Yep. So that being said, you got a guy, who can play another 15 years. If you don't rush him, if you take his time, he's got the skill. He's young. I think Dak really represent the Cowboys extremely well.
Yep.
I mean, he's a franchise guy, right? And so when you consider all that, would I be willing to take somebody that I don't think so. So anyway, that's my deal with that.
I got you. All right, Bobby, one more question, then we'll get out of here, man. Who was your breakout star for the Cowboys this season? What was one guy either on offense or defense that kind of stood out into your head and thought, man, this guy, he looks good so far in this season and beyond? Who's that guy in your mind?
Okay. Now, I'm a DB, right?
Yes, sir.
And my mama wanted me to go play football at Alabama, but I refused to do that, right?
Right.
I went to play at Florida State for a coach from Alabama.
Right.
And but Mr. Diggs, I really like Mr. Diggs. I think he's going to be a great player long run. He got his foot wet this year. A lot of people, it's hard to come out of college and go in the NFL and start at left corner.
Oh yeah, it's tough.
The left corner position, let me say this, it's like third base in baseball. It's the hot seat.
Yeah.
The left corner position is the hot seat in the NFL. Your best corner got to play over there because, most teams are right-handed, which means the strong side of the offense is going to be to your side, the left corner side. You're going to have to cover Amari Cooper. Guys like that, on a day-to-day grind, right? And in the NFL, it's not like in college where you're going to face 2 or 3 guys like that the whole year. Every week you got a dude who can take you in the NFL, right? So yes, I like Mr. Diggs. I like where he is. I think he's going to be a really good pro. I look for him to be a Pro Bowler in the near future. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do. He took some butt whoopings this year.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing about corners. Now you think about it. If you get out there and get beat, you better have a short memory, Logan. Mm-hmm. And you better be able to come back and play. And so every time he would get beat, I will watch his body language and I will watch how he respond. And I was like, he's a real dude. He's a real dude. He's a real dude. I like him. I really like him.
Yeah, that's real special to have, especially on defense, you got to have that short-term memory. You might get burnt for 30 plus yards, but if you come back and you get a nice, pass defended, look, that's all that matters, man. You got to be able to have that mental toughness on defense, especially. You
got to have it. And you think about it. There are only 2 positions on the football field where when you make a mistake, everybody know it. Yep. Everybody's talking about Andy Dalton throwing that interception.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, sir.
The quarterback and the cornerback. Nobody's going to talk about, what they're doing up front. If you get beat for a bomb, everybody in America going to say, oh, that guy's terrible. He's horrible, right?
Yes, sir.
But when he responds and come back right, I know he's mentally tough, and I know he's going to be good for the long haul. Hands down.
Hey, you guys have heard it here first. Trayvon Diggs gets the Bobby Butler stamp of approval for being a good defensive player in this league. I'm expecting multiple Pro Bowls out of this guy, Mr. Butler. I'm getting your approval on this, so I'm going to be waiting for his name to pop up more and more often.
Absolutely.
Well, for everyone watching the show, thank you guys very much. This has been 100 Yards Football in the Dallas Weekly's, weekly segment here. We'll thank Dallas Weekly one more time for doing all this great work for us. We've been loving all the shows, talking about the Cowboys this whole season. It's been an absolute fantastic ride so far. For my guest, the one and only Bobby Butler, thank you for coming on the show and talking some Cowboys with me this week. It was a pleasure as always. Hey, also, if you guys are watching us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, also if you're looking at the clip on Instagram right now, or if you're listening to our podcast over on Believe Podcast Network, I just want to say thank you guys very much. And for the whole entire team here at 100 Yards of Football, and for the whole crew at Dallas Weekly as well, we'd like to say a very, have a great night, and we'll be talking to you guys very soon. See y'all.